A quick recap of the carnage that happened to the Kyosho USA-1 today. Severely bent steering system. Right here. We have a servo that's dead because the shock actually broke off both sides. We broke one of the upper control arms off. What else happened? We lost one of the side cases, and I don't know if you could tell or not, the chassis is actually bent like a banana because it broke off this right here, and that is the link that goes over to keep it from moving back and forth like we have here. The one in the front's gone, the one in the back is still there, but I have a suspicion that those are the reason that the chassis is actually bent. So we may look into rebuilding this with different setup. Welcome back to No Control RC. Now, this is going to be a 45-day, 50-day, somewhere in there. I've been driving this truck, hitting jumps, not few big ones, but mostly little backflip monster truck jumps And I will say I'm actually surprised with how beat up this truck is and the amount of damage it sustained off these little jumps. And I'm going to say the reason for most of the damage is the 5-link setup that they did to that. Now, we could take this apart, come in a little closer, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You can see a pile of parts here. I actually broke then the 2 shocks off, and this is a crossbar. But we'll zoom in and you can see the exact carnage that's been caused by just the little backflip jumps. Now the body's held up not too bad. The engine broke off. That would be because this broke. The main thing that I'm talking about here is look how twisted this chassis is. It looks like a banana. We did break off one of these arms on this side. Right here, we broke off these cross braces right here. These are actually I guess what you consider a pitman arm. It actually is supposed to keep the thing centered. What it actually does is puts enough force on the chassis to bend it. As you can see, I do have a broken axle. There's the bottom of the shocks. The 4th dimension steering setup, the piece itself is held up well. The steering arms that came off the factory truck, not so much. That's not 4th dimension's fault. That's just the carnage that was caused by this. This is their piece. These are actually off the truck. So, as you can see, what I'm talking about here is this truck is beat up. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually switch this back over to the old style Mad Force suspension, ditch the 5-link setup, and build a better monster truck, hopefully. So let's get tearing this thing apart, and we can get it back together, hopefully a little better. First things first, we'll start with getting these tires off. And there's the front axle out. And as you can see, it was broken as well. So we got a brand new piece from Kyosho to fix that. The worst thing about these trucks is it's really hard to get pieces and parts. So this right here, this is actually an easy fix. So there's your junk piece. It's okay, because we would have had to take this off anyway to get to this, because that old piece, the old style piece, replaces that whole assembly anyway. What we want to do is get this off, which is weird. This is half Phillips and half Allen head. So this we will not be needing. We'll be replacing it with these hot racing aluminum arms. Which just occurred to me, I'm going to need some sort of bushing in there, because I don't have them with this setup. And don't forget, you got to get the old piece out, like so. And we've got a new one to go in. First, you got to put this on. So you want to put the flat side in if you're going to do this upgrade as I'm doing it. You may just choose to keep replacing your chassis plates, or wait for somebody to come along with something stronger and better. But with Kyosho, the aftermarket's not quite there like it is for a lot of other rigs. So you may be waiting a very long time. And this screw goes back down through and holds it all, but it also keeps this arm in line. And just like before, there's one top and bottom. Don't fully tighten one until you get the other one started. Then you can go back and tighten it. Well, I like the looks of the 5-link setup. This setup is actually much stronger. So there's one side done. You see, it's not hard. Put the axle back in. Make sure it locks in. You can see it spin the other side. And then and there you go. So you got one side done. You can see the difference in the suspension setups here. This works like this. This is just one that goes to the chassis, but the width of this on the axle actually helps hold it straight. You don't need the upper arm or that cross brace, which is what I believe is what's bending the chassis plates so easy. Which will this even work with this? Maybe not. Maybe. So here it is, a complete front end setup. As you can see, we had to lose the 4th dimension steering setup because unfortunately it doesn't work with these old style wider arms off the Mad Force. With these ones though, you can actually fasten up a thing to mount the servo right to the arm. So we can set up our own steering setup there. The 4th dimension setup though is great if you're going to keep the factory USA-1 suspension. And in fact, I'll utilize it on another truck for sure because it was a great kit. Now we can just get the back done and we can move forward. Now I've seen this done before, but I don't know if it really works or not. Maybe the 3rd time. There it is, done. Yeah, well, just kidding. There was a lot of wrenching in between that. We edited it out. What you can see here is we took some liberties and I actually straightened the chassis plates that were on here. And I actually doubled them up with the new ones and nut and bolted them all together. The rigidity is way stronger than the single plate. And I've seen some other people do this online in the forums talk about it. So it gave me the idea and I'm like, you know what? If we're trying to build the ultimate basher, let's try it. So the other thing I did was I moved the front shocks onto the arms here. I've had these ears break off a lot on the front. In the rear, I left them in the factory spots for now. But if those break off, I'll also move it to there. As you can see, we have limiting straps because it actually pulled the old shocks right apart. Pulled the bottom threads right off from it. So the limiting strap should eliminate that issue. We have them front and rear. So the truck's got a refresh. The steering setup. I created this piece out of metal. Hot Racing does sell a kit that bolts right on there that comes with a crossover steering setup, but it's $38 and something. But more importantly, it's 4 or 5 days out. If this setup doesn't work, I'll order one. I may order one just anyway to have on hand. But part of our seeing is being creative and fixing things on the fly. So we created this little setup, and I'm going to see how it works. It may not, but we're going to bash it and see. So this is the basics of what we did. There's a lot of work that went into this, and actually quite a bit of wrenching that I didn't expect. But when you beat on something, you have to take care of it afterwards. I mean, and nothing is indestructible. So here's the refreshed USA-1 with a little facelift, some new chassis plates. I say we take this out and we try it out, see how the new suspension works, how the new double plate chassis works. Worst it's going to do is break again. If you want to see the things, the parts we didn't use or that was broken, it's all in there. There's quite a bit of it. I'll probably hold on to all that anyway. I have buckets and buckets of stuff, all divided by brand and make, so that when you do break something, it's easy to find. I mean, if you have multiple vehicles, it's almost a must to separate and label stuff. If you just have one truck, throw it all in one tote and you're fine. So again, thanks for watching. And if you have a beat up USA-1, I hope some of these ideas might work for you. We will be doing a bash session with this thing and do a video on it, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Thanks for watching.